All right, I really just want to talk through this and upload it so I don't have to write it out right now. I started off today wanting to simplify how we're turning investment memos into these training websites, into the training platform. So I started off thinking with event-driven architecture in mind. Okay, we're going to create an outline for the memo that'll become an agenda and minutes, and then how does that data flow from the investment platform to the onboarding platform to the training platform, and let's try to simplify it here. So saying that we're going to have an investment memo, executive summary, table of contents, and then we're going to draft everything that populates the table of contents, and finally we'll publish it. So in these 4 steps, that's how we create an investment memo. That goes through the onboarding API, and then it allows the training team, the training platform, to subscribe to that data and turn the executive summary into like the training website outline, to turn the table of contents into the sitemap, to turn the draft into like all the content that fills out the site. And then when we publish the investment memo, that'll publish the training website. And the idea here is, okay, you have the biggest investors in the world saying that investment memos are really valuable and foundational. And I think if they are that valuable, they should translate to the rest of the platform. It doesn't make sense for someone to go through the exercise of creating a memo and then just putting it aside and then working on the rest of the company. If the investment memo is so important, it should translate and be updated every day, no matter what anyone does. It should always feed back into the investment memo. So this is just like as a checkpoint. I just came up with a clear map to show how the investment memo will generate a website with OS3. So again, outline to site outline, agenda becomes the full site map, the minutes becomes the site content that we populate everything with, and then when we distribute the debrief of the memo, we're distributing the site. So that's like a first iteration here. Then really got some clarity here, so I wanted to pull from the Y Combinator Series A investment memo template and line it up with what I'm thinking this investment memo executive summary is going to look like. So put out the sections and add in the questions here. And we don't need to worry about this right now because we'll get clear on it. But the main problem that I came up with is that right now DEG's investment memo is not very strong. It's essentially just like we've translated what we did with the pitch deck and just put it into a Word document. And I think the problem is that nobody teaches step by step how do you organize and make the most of an investment memo. Even the blog that I got all these prompts from, Visible Blog and YC Combinator, the Visible Blog doesn't line up with the YC template. Like they're not the exact same structure. So it's like conflicting data. It's confusing. And I think it really excludes people who don't have the time and energy to go through all of it. So that was the second checkpoint. Added these prompts, and we came up with some problems that we think we're going to solve with this flow that we're doing today. So after working through that, we came up with a new strategy. And I honestly didn't know what visible.vc did until today, and it really shows how valuable a good blog post is, because I've gone back to this blog post over and over and over, like 6 months now, and I haven't looked at the website once, but today I have. So if we can create good, effective blogs that people come to over and over, eventually they'll learn what we do with Q3 Agency. So I wanted to come up with a new strategy. I think as I'm going through this and thinking about the challenges that I faced with investment memos and just how there's a small group of companies that really know how to make them effectively, know how to raise money really effectively, those are the ones that end up ruling the world. So what if poor countries were able to have access to that? So poor countries are poor because people don't invest in them. The solution is to adapt these Series A best practices for like underserved, disinvested countries. And with that in mind, I wanted to come up, okay, let's start listing out this again. What are we doing month to month? So I just started tracking out what we're doing. So first month, we're just working on paper. Second month, we're working on GitHub. And that's really the next thing that I was doing. And then after working through that, I started just thinking about how we can really reflect on all of that a little bit more concisely. So I felt like I got ahead of myself. So I wanted to say, okay, what are we doing month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4? So really we're just creating the purpose. We're focused on anti-fragility in month 0 with this investment memo. How can we create something that's going to last? And that's going to be for platform engineers. And then I started looking at the worldcounts.com after I made those thoughts about poverty. And I wanted to line up, okay, so what we're doing in that first moon, how does that align to one of the trackers on the website? So I aligned it with poverty. Moon 1, we're going to be focused on property managers. So I was thinking about human and plant pollution, since it's kind of like the supply chain. Then productivity for developer advocates is going to be Moon 2, with the problem with trade, because I don't think philanthropy is really working, because they were saying for every dollar that goes into philanthropy, that country is sending $24. They're losing $24. So we're actually like donating is, in a way, it's stealing money from people. So finally, creativity for event planners. And I was thinking of slavery and child labor. And as I was thinking of all that, it became pretty clear that trade and poverty is the main one that we want to focus on. I'm sorry for the camera like this. But so really that gave us to another checkpoint. So worked through and clarified like how OS3 relates to all of these different world trackers, and it led us to poverty. So like that's where we're focused on, creating these P3 ecosystems is Hue3 agencies contribution to seeing how we can end poverty. So then with that clarity, then I decided to come back, okay, now let's list through month 0, 1, 2, and 3. So this is what I did in February, March, April, and then I'm about to go into this next one. So we're creating the investment memo, intro/abstract, then it'll be a table of contents, populate the memo, and then you distribute it. Last month, or I should just say, like, let's just say March, that's when you create a GitHub project for your onboarding platform. You create the API structure, you populate the API structure, and then you publish the API structure. And this is going to be focused on AI problem formulation, just so people understand how to deconstruct and form good problems that can be solved with effective solutions. And we're going to be visualizing it. The API is going to be with Building Smart and 3JS. So it's going to be like 3D models for our problems. We'll be able to really tangibly see what they are. What I'm wrapping up today is the training the training platform. So step 1 is to create the base of the website. Step 2 is to create the sitemaps. Step 3 is to populate the site. Step 4 is to publish the URL. And then what I'll be doing next month, we're going to be using the Chicago Department of Planning and Development. Everything that they're using for citywide planning, we're going to be adapting that to platforms. So we're going to be creating the base community development plan, outlining the vision plan based on the API structure, populating that vision plan, and then publishing the Honeycomb wallet. And that's going to be like a community space. So this really gives real clarity on the first 4 months that we're working through. And yes, and this is next. So then I made this even clearer. So like this is just the abstract. This is the intro to everything. So just wanted to create a cleaned up version for this. And then that made this even clearer. I wanted to make the markdown structure of what is it that we're actually doing. And then here's one of the takeaways, product of what I did this month, B.9.0 training platform. Thinking through how to create an effective website and then extending the value of an investment memo created this synthesized approach. And what I mean by that is it took me a while to figure out exactly the best approach for someone just coming to this, not much experience. How do they create an effective website for themselves? There are so many websites out there. It's confusing about where to start. But if we, again, go back to the basics and say the leading venture capitals are saying investment memos are important. People don't know how to create investment memos. What if we add an API that makes it really easy to structure investment memos, and then it makes them instantly available for when they're creating a website? So this investment memo abstract becomes the high level website structure. So this is step one. Once someone does this, they'll also have the initial parts of their website done as well. That's really the main value from all of this. Create an investment memo, and then you instantly have a website. And with this, again, like all of, let me just show right here. So like this right here, I condensed that down to here. And then once I had that, I say, okay, after we have the abstract, then we're going to want to create the agenda. So the agenda is the entire blown out step by step. Every single one of these platforms has 3 subsections. So you have 30 different 40, I guess, 40 different sections that are all here. And then I wanted to go back through the YC Combinator investment memo prompts and plug them in to say, okay, where do these prompts actually contribute to where someone's creating a platform, which brought so much clarity. And then I just cleaned it up right here. So what I have right here are all of the prompts from the YC Combinator listed out within a parallel permaculture platform outline. So you use OS3 to create a P3 ecosystem, and all you have to do is create an investment memo, and then from there, all you have to do is add to it day by day, and you'll continue to make your idea more and more valuable. Let's just read through this. Now that I can see how the investment memo lines up to each platform, I understand the value of it a lot more. The benefit of 8.2.7.1, that's this, the outline, is it provides a structure that will capture value added by anyone in the ecosystem. So if anyone in the ecosystem is exploring how what we do changes the market, if someone's adding value and they're creating a new theory, or if they're creating an experiment, or they're creating an essay, if someone is creating a blog post, anything that they're doing will instantly add back to the investment memo so we can make it more valuable. The first action taken to complete platform ecosystem isn't a wasted exercise, because the investment memo will now become something that gives context to what the entire platform becomes. So again, in February, we created the memo, agenda, the meetings, and the debrief. It was a rough draft. I wasn't really sure what I was doing there. And then in March, I was coming up with the onboarding, and I didn't really know what that was going to be either. And this past month in April, it was really tackling the website. I hit a roadblock halfway through the month, not really knowing what it was going to turn out to become. And then I really realized that in order to make it work, you needed to use an API so that the investment memo could be translated into the website. And that's really the main takeaway. APIs make investment memos more accessible and valuable. So essentially, by creating an API, you can take any investment memo you can create, and by using our API, you can instantly transform it into a website. This is just the first use case. Now that I've learned this, I'm going to use this exact same thinking for what I'm doing next month, now that I'm going into the governance platform. I just needed to share this so it's out of my head. I'm not expecting you or anyone else to understand this. We'll be adding a lot clearer content on this soon, but just wanted to get this out there and out of my head.